Okay, joining us today, seven-time national champion in tennis, former Arjuna awardee, but now in a different avatar. He's the founder and CEO of the World Pickleball League. Joining me is GAURAV Natekar. GAURAV, firstly, tell me, what led to you to, start something in a sport that you really weren't associated with to begin with?
Yeah, I think that it's an interesting question. We have an infrastructure business. We build sports infrastructure and we do sports consulting and advisory. And I had, of course, heard of pickleball, and I knew what was happening in the US and the growth and the explosion of pickleball. And about a year back, quite a few of our clients actually started reaching out to my team, asking to build pickleball courts. And one thing led to another. We sponsored a couple of small pickleball events, and I realized that this is the game of the future, and it is going to explode in India primarily for three reasons. The first reason is, of course, very easy to play, a tough game to master, but it's an easy game to play, requires very little space, and therefore much less infrastructure from building a badminton, squash, tennis, volleyball, basketball court. And I think the third thing is the whole, uh, it's age agnostic. It's 40% women play this sport. I mean, my background of me and my wife Aarti, who's played for tennis for India, my dad, my in-laws, and as a family we could never really get down to playing one sport together. And a couple of months back, 16 of us played pickleball together. I mean, the oldest was 66 and the youngest was 11, right? And that's when it really hit me that this is a game for community, this is a game for relationship building, this is a game for family bonding, right? And that's why I thought that there is an opportunity here, and well, the rest is history, as they say.
Interesting points you make about pickleball, but at the moment, there is this kind of a cold war going on between the world of tennis and pickleball. Novak Djokovic comes and says it's a threat to tennis. I would have imagined you would have been on the side of tennis, but you've chosen pickleball.
Well, tennis is my first love. Tennis has given me everything, and not only me, but even my wife, Aarti Ponnava. We've got everything from tennis. I think, having said that, we are in the sports business. It's almost as if, you're asking a cricketer, why are you getting into another sport, right? So it's not that I don't love tennis. Tennis has and will be my first love. While I think Novak's comment needs to be taken a little seriously, because he obviously knows what he's saying. I don't know whether it is a huge threat to tennis. I think that there is a space for both sports to exist and coexist. Certainly, right now it looks like a lot of the the tennis and badminton and squash and the racket playing public is actually moving towards pickleball. But eventually, Nikhil, as this is all about demand supply. This is about market dynamics. And I think it's going to be interesting to see how this journey plays out.
Hmm. You spoke about, one factor that really makes pickleball very popular is it's age agnostic. But then the downside of that is it also comes with the criticism that, listen, this isn't a serious sport. This is for middle-aged men just to feel happy that they can play a sport, whereas they'll struggle playing any other sport. While that's not a problem in terms of a recreational world, but you're trying to establish a professional league. Does that then become a hindrance, criticism like this?
No, I think, look, the old adage that any publicity is good publicity can be taken with a pinch of salt here. I think there are two data points here. Certainly, a couple of years back, pickleball was considered as an old man sport, or somebody who couldn't play tennis or badminton takes to pickleball. And I think that was certainly the case. I think even today there's many people who couldn't really play a sport for whatever reason, because tennis, badminton, squash, these are all tough games to learn. But I think now we are seeing a change in the demographics. You will know, having been in sport for so many years, that there are two reasons really why people play a sport, right? One is that they have a hero that they look up to, and that's why they watch the sport. And the second thing is that they actually see people around them playing it and they say, wow, okay, let me try this, right? Why did most of us take up to a certain sport, or most people in India, the kids take to a sport because their parents are playing it, their friends are playing it. there is this whole drove of people in the age of 30 now, I would say, to 40, 45, who are taking to pickleball. And they are coming with their kids now, right, who are 5, 6, 7 years old. So I think the average age, and I don't have any data to support it, but I'm seeing that on ground, that while the average age possibly earlier was maybe 50 or late 40s, it's now come down significantly to late 20s and early 30s. And there are a whole bunch of success stories of Indian kids, 18, 19-year-olds who are now winning titles at the Asian level, and at the international level. And I think that is a kind of needle shifting that we are seeing now.
Mm. Uh, the other thing that you'll have to deal with, there is all maybe a league or two already in India. How would you then ensure that yours is the preferred league, or you hold the edge over competition?
Look, I think there is competition in everything, right? And I would like to focus. One thing that playing sport at the highest level has taught me is that one has to focus on what one needs to do, right? So I'm very focused. Me and Aarti both are very focused on the next point, on the next game, right? And I think that we believe in our ability and our capability. Um, um, I think it's the first time, from what I am told, that there are two international level players who've actually started a league, right? Otherwise, leagues are generally started by business houses, by business people. This is the first time that we are attempting to do a league of this scale, and that's why Sony has come in and invested in our company. So I think we've got a great investor and partner on board. We've got a great core team, most of whom are sports people, but also who come with experience in the business of sport. And I think we are pretty confident of the product and the service that we can deliver. And that's what I'd like to focus on.
Hmm. Since you talk about, one of your partners is, of course, Sony, and they're in the entertainment business, they're in the television business. We have seen television companies partner in other sporting leagues before that, but that hasn't really, augured well for that particular league. A case in point is, the ISL, where Star came in as the partner, but the problem was that majority of the revenue that you earn is from television rights. So, that went out of the window. So one major portion where you could have gotten some revenue wasn't there. Is that a problem that you foresee, or that's not going to be a conflict with you?
Absolutely not. So let me clarify. The company that has invested in my company is a company called Setvi. It's Sony Entertainment Talent Ventures India. It's a 50-50 between Sony Pictures, LA, and Sony Music, New York. It is almost like a private equity investment vehicle. So when we were signing up with them, it was made very clear that we will, while it is a Sony company that has invested, there is no compulsion on us to go with Sony for broadcast or for other things. The fact that Setvi as a company looks at obviously building out the sport of pickleball along with making it commercially viable for all our franchisees and for all our stakeholders only adds more value to it.
Mm. Since you're talking about, that you're free to get any television partner, one factor that makes any league or any sport successful and financially viable is how TV friendly it is. Right now we've seen that pickleball as a sport is really picked up. It's very popular socially. You think it can be a television sport that people will, latch on to?
I think so, absolutely. I mean, I think the nature of the sport is such that there's a lot of quick exchanges that happen in the kitchen area, or in tennis, like a volley to volley, right? So, and because the court is small, if the players are, not if, but when the players are good, right, whether it's singles or doubles, there's a lot more longer rallies that happen. So I think it's a very, very viewer friendly and a playing friendly sport. And I think as far as TV goes, honestly, I think that it will do well because of the tight nature of the way the court is. There's a lot more action that the person watching on TV can almost feel that he's experiencing, which doesn't happen sometimes with some of the games which have very, very large playgrounds or very, very large court sizes. That's essentially what we are seeing.
One other factor that's really worked well for leagues that have been successful has been the packaging. I mean, even if you look at IPL when it began, it got celebrity owners, nicely packaged, prime time television timing. The other league that comes to my mind, Kabaddi, not a very popular sport, but they got their packaging right. Uh, they'd have cheerleaders and so on and so forth. A lot of excitement, use of lights when you're seeing it. What are the steps that you're taking to ensure that that packaging bit is top notch?
So, one of the things that we are positioning this as is that it's a sportainment property, right? So there is a whole bunch of entertainment elements around it, and that's where again a company like Sony, adds huge value to us. There's a lot of entertainment gigs that we are planning. There's a lot of interesting and fun stuff that we're going to be doing in the whole month of Jan. I don't want to obviously open my cards too much because on the back of that is why we have got some very very interesting partners and franchisees as well as companies that are ready to come on board.
Mm. Okay, on that note, Gaurav, thank you so much for taking our time and speaking to us here on India Today. And here's wishing you all the very best with the league.
Thank you, Nikhil. Pleasure to speak to you.